Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. Happy Fun Friday. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman. I am joined here this Friday morning, as I am just about every Friday morning. It's our good friend, Christy Olson. Christy, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much. Happy Friday to you as well. And I am ready to have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm prepared for all the fun.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because we have some not so fun news to get to, but we're going to try to have some fun still today. You know, that's what it's all about here. So.
Well, yeah, I love that. I know there's kind of some hot button topics that we're going to be touching on today. So I can't wait to get into it with you.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to get into it with all of you out there. Of course, this is a live show right now. We are on all of the Wrestling Inc. social platforms, YouTube, Twitch, everything. If you are watching us live and there's a comment section, get in it. We take all of the comments. We have a mecha thread over here. If you're on, hello, over on Facebook already, Adam Yarborough. Hello. Hi, Adam. Welcome to the show.
Adam.
See how we can do that? You chat, we take your stuff, we put it on the screen, we bring you into the conversation. We're going to be doing that all show long. And you guys could just have your own fun chats on the side here. That happens a lot of the time too. So whatever you want to do. So join the chat. And of course, you can subscribe to us in audio form over on the Wrestling Inc. Daily podcast feed. Where if you listen to us in audio form, you get the full show with the interview included between the news and the mailbag spots. And today, yes, the sandwich, the delicious turkey and pepper jack and lettuce tomato in the middle there, with a little bit of mayo sriracha aioli.
Oh, wow, we're doing it up.
Oh man, very, very much so.
Not just any news sandwich.
Yeah, no, just a delicious, I want a Creole turkey sandwich. Oh man, I'm super hungry right now. I had I have a thing of yogurt every morning to just get the things going down here, and then I make myself a lunch after the daily. Man, I'm hungry today.
Yeah, I didn't get my grapefruit going yet today either. So man, we have kind of sad little breakfast, Nick.
Yeah, well, I used to do my lumberjack breakfast, and then I put on 20 pounds. So. Gone back to the yogurt. We're going to talk. So anyway, the sandwich portion. We went off on sandwiches. The sandwich portion, the meaty portion in the middle today is going to be part 2 of new wrestling contributor Drew Rice's conversation with Gerald Briscoe. We had part 1 on Wednesday. Then we had the takeover media call yesterday. Today, part 2, the last part of Drew and Gerald Briscoe. That'll be today. And if you're watching us in video form, in less than an hour, 55 minutes, jump over to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. You can watch that interview play out, join the chat room, chat along. Drew might be in there. I don't know if Gerald will be in there. I don't want to make any promises, but,
You never know who's going to pop up.
You never know. Hey, Ryan said, afternoon, guys. Samantha, hi. Hey, hello, Wolfgang and Christy. Yesterday, I revealed I was almost called Wolfgang before my name was changed to Nicholas. So
by your parents or by a wrestling promoter?
No, my dad wanted Wolfgang. And my mom was like, we're not doing that.
Ooh, somehow I think, Nick, you would have a whole different life if your name was Wolfgang. Agreed?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I would maybe be a biker or something now. Or or a famous,
a composer.
A composer, right? Yeah. Then we have, of course, Praddock here. Hello. Good morning, Nick and Christy. How are you doing? We're doing great, Praddock. Thank you for jumping in. All right, and Christopher, I see you got a news question here. We'll get to your question here about is in just a moment. But let's start the show off here with news you can use. News to leave a bruise. This coming to us from the Mat Men podcast. WWE officials are looking at making more releases. They recently parted ways with a number of superstars who were told they were being released as part of budget cuts. But there's going to be more releases made as the company looks to cut back on contracts. And there are a lot of people within WWE who believe the company never really intends on fully releasing some wrestlers. Yeah, right? All right, 1 second. All right, and that some of the cuts are just a contract move so they can renegotiate the deals. This way of doing business is not official, but it is heavily speculated on within WWE, and people are said to be very unhappy with the possibility of that happening, of course, due to the fact that WWE could terminate contracts in the middle of a wrestler's deal in order to renegotiate just to give the talent less money. was noted that this isn't something WWE does often, and this isn't the first time we've heard of this practice. But if true, it would be a new method of regularly doing business for the company. No word on exactly when the next round of cuts is going to be made or who is being released, but it was noted that this last round on June 2nd was not the final list of cuts. So like I told you, we don't have great fun news to start off with here, Christy.
Right. But that's show business, folks. I mean, WWE has very carefully crafted these contracts over the years that put them in the best position. And this is something that isn't uncommon in the world of Hollywood. And, when they have the leverage because they're WWE, it's just, how bad do you want to be here? How much do we have to pay you to be here? Do you want to go try your hand out there? Do you want to find a new job, or do you want to be a WWE superstar? And how bad? And how little will you take for it? I mean, they're a big business. That's how it works. Unfortunately, it's totally crappy. It's obviously unethical. And I really feel for the wrestlers who are going to have to deal with this and try to decide how they navigate this new kind of terrain of negotiations. This is a tough one.
It is crappy and unethical, I think. That might be the name of this episode here. Yeah, it is crappy and unethical. And, a couple things here. This is another call for you. I feel an easy layup here for the unionization talks. And even just saying that, you got Zelina Vega in your orbit right now. We don't really know what her deal is, but why poke that bear by firing her husband and then having reports like this coming out? I mean, it just kind of seems to bolster whatever conversation she may have already been having out there, right? Because you can't sign Robert Downey Jr. to do 3 Iron Man movies. The first one does bad and then try to renegotiate with him. He signed a contract, right? Robert Downey Jr. is going to get that Robert Downey Jr. money, But
that's Robert Downey Jr. These are WWE superstars. WWE has worked to keep them known as just WWE superstars. We all know they're not trying to make a big name that can go out there and have the kind of freedom like that in what they want to do. Unfortunately, WWE superstars just don't have that kind of leverage, Nick. And they're going to get taken advantage of. That's the business that we're in. It sucks.
And if you're a wrestler, and, I don't want to get too much heat with WWE, but if you're interested in unionization and taking back some power into your own court, I would really recommend going back and listening to the Leslie Smith piece, because you're right. The wrestlers are being taken advantage of here right now because they have no leverage. And the way they get that leverage back is by working together to create some kind of, not maybe a players association, maybe not even a formal unionship, but something that brings them to the table. It says, if you're going to sign somebody here that works for WWE to a contract, the rules apply across the board. We can't have favoritism here where you can't break a deal with John Cena, but you can break a deal with Braun. We're going to hear from Braun here in a second. And I'm not shedding any tears for Braun Strowman because he obviously took some pot shots at indie wrestlers during the pandemic that did him no favors. But, this guy negotiated at a time when he was hot, got some money, and then they moved him down the card. And they're like, well, we don't want to pay you money anymore. So we're going to fire you. We're going to tear your contract to shreds. And if you want to come back, you can come back for less money, but we're not going to put you in the main event picture anymore. It's not only crappy and unethical, it's very demeaning and a real mental mess for anybody that's in that bubble. Just emotionally, I cannot imagine that roller coaster.
Right. But you make another good point from what you said before. I mean, Braun Strowman is not Robert Downey Jr., right? And even though he is Braun, he might be the Robert Downey Jr. of the pro wrestling world. Even he doesn't have any protection from this kind of business practice.
Well, and Samantha here bringing up a point. There was that report not long ago that said, they had a meeting, right, with the WWE employees in the office where they're like, don't worry, everybody's fine. We're going to get back to work. Then you hear reports like this. I don't know if this is just going to be a superstars contract thing or they're continuing to strip down, in the offices. I would think both. Nick Khan seems to be wielding a goddamn machete right now when it comes to the bottom line of WWE. I would feel very unsafe right now at any level of WWE at the moment.
Yes. And so maybe those people can kind of commiserate with all the millions of other people in the last year and a half whose business has been, on the brink of total collapse.
Man, crappy and unethical here. You got some winner. Yeah, Noob. It's extremely crappy and unethical and unnecessary, right? they would tell you from a business side, we're trying to make the bottom line. This is necessary.
Get that stock price back up to where it was pre-COVID.
Maybe, right? But like, also unnecessary in the fact that you made these deals and you knew where you were going financially. I can't believe that the ebbs and flows of your billion-dollar entity are so high and low.
Well, they didn't know that they were going to have to cut off all their live event travel and live shows and all that. I mean,
I don't know.
The stock price is at less than half, I believe, than what it was right before COVID. And so that is essentially what they're trying to bolster back up there.
Well, Danny Cochran, Crappy and Ethical, that sounds like a good tag team name. I think we might see them jobbing out here, AJ Styles on Monday. That would be pretty funny.
Love that.
And then Ryan W. here, the dream of being in WWE beginning to look like a nightmare. And I don't know about a nightmare, but like I do think
I make that exact analogy all the time.
Yeah, right? Like it does seem as years go by, I hear less and less buzz on the indies of like, man, I can't wait to get to WWE because there's other options out there. There's other ways to make money. I mean, you've really got, you know what you're going to get into now at this point, or you should when you sign a contract with WWE, right?
Yeah, that's so easy to say. But of course, people are still going to do it. You are exactly right. And that's one thing that I always think about my personal experience is like, you knew exactly what you were getting into. You knew what you could and couldn't do. You knew exactly what was going to happen, but you're not going to pass that chance up just in case you're one of the ones that it is a dream come true for.
Now, here's the thing. Antoine Fair here bringing up how NFL, NBA, MLB players, they get cut. They don't. What's the difference? I do believe first of all, with the NBA and they have a players association. Most of these other sports leagues have players associations or formal unions. I don't hear a lot of like, oh man, your batting average is down. We're going to cut you mid-season and then, maybe bring you back and renegotiate your contract at a lower level. I don't hear those stories when it comes to major professional sports leagues. I hear those kinds of stories only in the carny world of professional wrestling.
I don't pretend to know anything about unscripted sports, but I think it just is a tough world. There are plenty of wrestlers who ended up in that world because they were cut from football. Maybe that's what the future is for pro wrestling too, is people just need to think, what else can I be doing because this perhaps isn't the brightest path for the future.
We also have Ryan W. here. The difference, WWE signed huge contracts to keep people out of AEW, and now they're going to go back on some of those contracts. And yeah, it does kind of feel like Vince is really loosened up on the potential threat of an AEW. Like he doesn't seem to care anymore about this other company. The shine is off.
No. And have you noticed how, because we kind of saw that happening over the last several weeks, maybe the last couple months with like when Big Show went and Mark Henry went and both said, hey, we talked to Vince, he's cool with it. So we've seen this coming. And have you noticed how the entire narrative has changed around any possible competition? Of course, ending the Wednesday Night Wars had a hand in that as well. But it's like all of a sudden, nobody's going, oh, Vince is scared of AEW. That was fast. We all know now.
And real quick, and back to Antoine's thing about the players. He's saying NFL players in down years are asked to restructure, and that is true, right? But they are not fired, and they lose all of their money and have to come back to get some money at the table. And if my limited knowledge of legitimate sports contracts means anything, I do believe a lot of that restructuring, there is some writing in a lot of those contracts that say if the company is at X amount or whatever, that's where there's certain things that kick in that are all agreed to again by a football union so that nobody's getting dicked over. Everybody has some kinds of protections when they're working against these giant billion-dollar football company owners. I hope that that situation for you. So
yeah, you're right. They seem to have things in place that are protecting them. And I hope that perhaps that can happen in pro wrestling as well.
Jonathan Lyman, the Jonathan Lyman brand, pretty bluntly, they want to know, would you go back to WWE knowing what you know now, Christy?
I think that that's just not any kind of possibility that's even worth, they're not going to ask. I'm not going to go. It's just not even worth really putting energy into that. But I get where you're going with this. And the thing is that, you know what? I would like to think that I know better now. But I'm not entirely sure that I don't know. And I'm never going to need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were talking about Braun Strowman here and all these releases. He took to Twitter yesterday afternoon. He dismissed a recent report on his 5-figure indie appearance asking fee. He said, "Let me get this FYI out. I have not spoken to anyone about bookings, but if you want to talk business, the email to my agent is in my bio. Thanks for any confusion you may be reading online." He also revealed on Instagram that he cut his beard for the first time in a decade. Very trim-looking Braun. And a few hours later, now this is what killed me here. He posted this photo of him with this baby tiger at a Myrtle Beach safari in South Carolina. And he talked about how he could die a happy man after the experience and felt like a child through it all. I cannot believe that Braun Strowman did not watch the Tiger King docuseries like all of us did and know that these baby tigers in these kinds of environments usually not very well taken care of. So I don't really know that rubbed me the wrong way of everything I just talked about. So
I don't think we should ever expect any kind of political correctness from Braun Strowman. I'm surprised he hasn't done other things that have made more headlines in that kind of a realm. And I'm with you on this, but I want to point out that all of us do a lot of things on a daily basis that endanger animals. And if we really care, we should all kind of look at what we can do first. P.S. And now I'm going to step down off my soapbox and you can continue.
No, I just like I was getting here. There's Antoine and John now going back and forth. There's like an actual discussion about players' contracts right now in the comment section, which I encourage you to continue on. I'll keep an eye on it here, and people can watch along as well. We just talk about contracts and things like that. Yeah, the Tiger thing bugged me. I got distracted. Braun. Where were we going with Braun again? I forgot where we were going.
Braun is using his manager to tiptoe around the dirt sheet reports about how much money he's asking.
Got it. Yeah, filter. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have heard that Braun, obviously, wanted to make sure he was given the best deal possible when he was negotiating with WWE. Obviously, that's maybe why he found himself on the chopping block here. And I just, yesterday we were talking with EJ, and he brought up how Braun would maybe just be better suited in Hollywood, where he's such a big dude with a good look, or he could make maybe more money out there. And I think that that's probably not a bad guess. I mean, for pride's sake, I could see him maybe going and do a little bit of, for AEW or something. But I think there's more money to be made with a guy like this outside of pro wrestling, honestly.
I don't know that he's shown or that he's had the opportunity to show any great acting skills as a wrestler. So I would question that. Just because he's got the look doesn't mean that he could be successful in Hollywood. There's a lot of big guys around here.
I guess.
Yeah, I think he could be the most successful as just a personality, as just, the artist formerly known as Braun Strowman. Like maybe a hunting show on the Discovery, whatever the hell channels those are that my dad watches, some fishing BS. Yeah. Like maybe he hosts retreats at his house I just think that him being who he is just as interesting to people than him being a wrestler.
Yeah, no, that's I think probably closer to it, because I mean EJ brought up how Braun was in that Sherlock Holmes movie or whatever that they did.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so like he's dabbled. He has dabbled.
Okay.
So like there's like I'm sure he's been in front of producers and agents and stuff. So I wouldn't doubt that there's opportunities out there for him, because again, when we were with WWE, all those offers and opportunities that goes through the office there. I've definitely heard from people who are like, I didn't know I had XX and X offer even out there till I left the company, because the offers were given to WWE and they just chose not to let me know how in demand I was at the time.
That's true. Yeah.
So we'll be see. All right. Well, talk about Nick Khan, Matt Men podcast here, who, by the way, take up like half the real estate for our news here. I have no idea where they came from, but I guess a source.
I noticed that. Yeah. Good. Get going, guys.
Yeah.
Stay ethical.
So WWE President, Chief Revenue Officer Nick Khan is the man behind WWE SummerSlam taking place in Vegas. Khan's idea to hold the biggest show of the summer in Vegas. He's been a big idea on that idea. He's also big on the idea of SummerSlam being a big spectacle. We've noted how Cardi B rumored to be the SummerSlam host. Word is that Khan also high up on the idea of the rapper hosting the pay-per-view. Multiple sources have reported that WWE is looking at John Cena versus Universal Champion Roman Reigns at the SummerSlam main event this year. Big main event and Cardi B as host. All seem like good ideas to me. I have no problems with any of this.
No, I am very excited to see Cardi B get in the mix on this. Her hubby is a huge pro wrestling fan, so she is tuned into that world a little bit. I know sometimes she tweets when he's watching Raw and all that. So I love when they bring the celebs on who actually kind of know, what's going on in the world of pro wrestling and in WWE. I also think that the fans are going to love her, and she just is going to be so much fun. That's the kind of energy that the first huge event back with fans and all that, it needs Vegas. It needs Cardi B. And I think it's going to go over very well.
I just love the idea of Nick Khan being like, Vince, don't you know what people want? They want spectacle. Do you know anything about spectacle, Vince? Maybe we get some celebrities in here. You do a big marquee main event. It's like, God damn it, I did WrestleMania 1. Liberace was there. I'm so interested in that dynamic of Nick Khan and Vince McMahon. Like, I really want to know what those two are like behind closed. Yeah. I mean, Vince is putting a lot of faith in this guy, and I'd never heard of him until 8 months ago,
Right. Is that why you're so curious? Is just because it seems like this guy is the first person to kind of come in and all of a sudden convince Vince that actual changes need to be made?
Yeah. Yes. And also, like, Vince just kind of letting this guy run wild, like, with seemingly cuts and the book and the purse strings. And, who is this guy? Right? Like, is he the music man? Is it all, firewater, or is there some real substance? It seems like there's substance. They're making a ton of money. I don't know. I'm compelled.
Well, yeah. What did Vince see in this guy that made him go, my $5 billion company that I won't let anybody else even lay a finger on? This is the guy. This is the guy I'm going to give some control to.
Because when they brought this guy in, anybody was like, well, they hired him because he's a con, right? It's like just a way to get back at Tony. We got our own con over here. But this dude's like, this dude is taking on a ton of power, Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, Samantha here. Wouldn't Cardi B cost big butts with all the budget cuts? Yeah, but
that's a good point. I'm sure she does have a hefty fee. In fact, she mentions it sometimes in her songs. And who would you guys rather have at SummerSlam? Would you rather kept Braun Strowman or you want to WAP? Like
Cardi B. I mean, Cardi B.
I have my vote.
All day long.
Same.
Cardi B. Antonio here talking about Cena possibly come back at SummerSlam. I'll save some of that commentary, bring it back when we get to the mailbag where we're going to talk about who you all want to see coming back here. We can talk more about Roman and Cena then.
I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And also, thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, absolutely. And also from the Mat Men, they're saying that the 2021 Survivor Series expected to take place in Brooklyn, with the officials at WWE wanting The Rock to appear at Survivor Series. The Observer saying that WWE hopes that The Rock can make an appearance at Survivor Series. Obviously not locked in. It was speculated that Rock appearing at Survivor Series would help build to a potential match with Universal Champion Roman Reigns at an upcoming WrestleMania, an event. Of course, with The Rock getting older, if he does return to the ring, he would want to set a box office record. The two places he could do that would be AT&T Stadium in Dallas for WrestleMania 38 or SoFi Stadium in LA for Mania 39. Regarding Survivor Series in Brooklyn, that'll likely be at the Barclays. So not wrestling at SummerSlam or Survivor Series, but coming in to set something up at Survivor Series.
I mean, we know darn well that WWE will take him however they can get him, wherever they can get him. Can you imagine how many times they've sent that email? Dear The Rock's manager, we hope The Rock can appear next month. We hope The Rock can appear. We all hope The Rock can appear, but does he need to? No. Do I think we're going to see him, on a presidential campaign before we see him back wrestling in a ring? Yes, I do. But it's fun to keep our hopes alive. I agree, but this is always the rumor. It hasn't happened yet.
Man, and with Roman Reigns having held the title here all the way through since he came back and through the pandemic and stuff, and so he's been working with the action figures we had in the box, right? Working with what we have available. These are some big names, big matches they've got coming up for Roman. I would imagine at SummerSlam, if they do Cena Roman, I would imagine Roman's going to win that match.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, see, and that's another reason why the big guys coming back, it's like a little anticlimactic, because so what? Even if The Rock does come back, it's not like he's gonna have a title win and have another title run, and that would be the exact same for John Cena as well.
But see, the John Cena one, but I think there will be intrigue. I think the week of it, you're going to start to hear me say things like, well, I don't know, Christy, maybe they want to do something here, but with John Cena, he'd be going for a 17th World Championship win. That'd have him break the all-time record, right? So there's some storytelling to do there. But he beat Cena then. That's a big win for Roman here on the tear he's been on. And then you start looking ahead to The Rock. And if you have that great build and there's that compelling who's the head of the table, great storytelling. Let's say Roman wins again there. Do you go on to Brock? And if he goes through Brock, I mean, where does this end for Roman Reigns? I would like to think that somebody in-house that they've been building and playing and toying with as a babyface after Roman Reigns has rolled through all of these big names and has really definitively cemented himself, could use that energy to put over somebody else to bring him up to the level that he's at. That would be my hope.
Oh, Nick, that's a good one.
That would be my hope.
Man. Oh, Nick, you're funny today.
Doesn't that? I mean, it makes sense, though. Doesn't it?
It absolutely makes sense. However, I don't really see Roman Reigns or Vince McMahon or anyone else putting him in that position. But again, that's just cute story. Cute story, bro.
I don't know, Christy. I don't know. Also, Pro Wrestling Unlimited here. By the way, welcome to the show, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Survivor Series this year would be The Rock's 25th anniversary. Hence, that's why they won him this year. It's 25 years since he came out wearing the tattered blue and the gold.
Right.
It says Rocky Maivia. Dude, that'd be so great if he came out dressed like that. Like old school Rocky Maivia.
Well, and we know we're going to have to bait him a little bit, right? Like he's going to want to do this. And that seems like something that he could really have fun with.
All right. Lastly, here before we get to part 2 of Gerald Briscoe for your audio form, and we'll dump to the mailbag after this for everybody else. Wrestling Observer reporting: New Japan Pro Wrestling gave Lio Rush permission to sign with an American company like AEW, but New Japan had to have priority on dates. Rush's deal also would have allowed him to wrestle for MLW and on the Indies, but of course, Rush revealed an injury earlier this week, and he announced his retirement from pro wrestling. And I mean, I hope he's very happy and content with that, because he was in a position that, like nobody else, very few people in North America would have been in, for him to be able to get concessions from New Japan, AEW, MLW, and also be able to work his own indie thing. I don't know that I've heard of anybody being able to get all those companies lined up the way he seemingly had them all lined up.
No, and to be honest with you, I was pleased but surprised to keep hearing that, Leo was doing so well and was getting all these signings. He's a hustler, man. And I mean that in the best way. And I think he knows what he's doing, and he'll be another one who might do well as a personality. I know this has not been easy for him now to retire. Can you imagine having all that finally? I know he said this, but like to finally have everything you've worked hard for, and for there just to be so much potential for you, to have all that cut off. I can't imagine. I can only think that, the universe is preparing him for something bigger and better. And, this is good evidence that he does good business too. Smart business guy. And we are going to hear and see more from him.
All right, everybody. Well, that'll bring us to the mailbag. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Christy, thank you for talking all the news of the day with me. And thank you, of course, to everybody who's still here rocking and rolling. Keep the chats flowing. We're going to dive into the mailbag. We're going to do some more talking here. And, of course, Drew Rice, one of the newest contributors here for Wrestling Inc. That was part 2 with Gerald Briscoe. It'll debut here in about half an hour over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. And go support Drew. And we've got more from Drew here coming up in the coming weeks. A couple more interviews in the can from, of course, his college senior paper where he did these interviews with all these wrestlers. I love that story. All right. So let's dive to the mailbag at WInc Daily, WINC Daily. That is the Twitter account to follow if you want to vote the daily polls. Find out when latest episodes are going out. I tweeted out the live link today from the account. I'll probably keep doing that. So if you want to engage us, follow us on Twitter. So what big name superstar returning to WWE for another match or run intrigues you the most? Is it Brock Lesnar, John Cena, The Rock, or somebody else? Well, we have almost 300 votes here. And 44.9% said The Rock, 30.8% John Cena, 18.6% Brock Lesnar, and then other write-in. You wrote in, how about Alundra Blaze? right?
I did because yes, she has been actually lobbying for a return. I think that that's the one thing we're kind of forgetting about all this hopefulness because we love to speculate is that like where's the actual potential? She's asking for another run. She's asking for one last match. The other name that came up in my mind was our friend Sean Waltman, who
Sure.
also is in the position where he is looking to have another run. The Rock, John Cena, they don't need it. That doesn't excite me because I know it's not going to particularly excite them. I want to see Medusa get back out there.
I think Alundra Blaze, if she really wants to wrestle, I don't know that Vince would give her the proper treatment.
She's been very public about asking and has gotten crickets so far. So I think you're probably right there.
I would see her as a real attraction, honestly, to the Women of Honor division. I think that she's somebody that they could use some veteran women presence over there to kind of mesh with what they're going to be trying to do at the moment. I think she would probably really pop over there and bring some attention to them. I see her getting lost in the shuffle at AEW. Yeah. And that kind of ties into the New Japan Impact relationship stuff as well. So I just don't. I mean, I get the sentiment. Of course, with Sean, I'm rooting for Sean. Sean will be great when he comes back. But with her, I just don't know that. I don't know that she would get the attention of a Lesnar, Cena, or Rock, and be booked in a kind of similar top level capacity. So, yeah. Noob and Co. here saying that they want to see Alundra Blaze in a match against Asuka, and I can't argue that. I can't argue that.
Yes. Well, yeah. Let's get you on the booking team.
Yeah. It's a great idea. So I voted for John Cena just because I'm very compelled to see what he's going to be looking like on the other side of the Firefly Funhouse that in the WWE universe, he's still trapped in, right? I don't know where he's up, right? So
I'm sure he'll come up with something great.
Sure. So I voted Cena, but a lot of people out there want Rock. That's not surprising.
I was kind of shocked that there were more votes for Brock, just because there is always so much speculation about what he's doing and will he be there. And I guess, at the end of the day, it doesn't seem that people really are that interested.
It's with Brock, it's because I think we've seen him so much more than Cena and Rock, right? Because we've seen him and Roman several times now, right? Mm-hmm. But once Roman rolls through a Cena, gets through Rock, is Brock Lesnar the big badass? Because then you also get the Paul Heyman is finally pulled into it.
Right.
Then you got like Roman has cemented himself against Cena, The Rock, and now Brock is back and he's pissed. And that's while it did not get the most votes, maybe the most like compelling story.
Right. The most mainstream attention, which is what, WWE needs right now as well, if they're trying to bump up their stock.
Yeah. Well, we also have here 6 rings. I don't know why Dumpster versus Reigns at Mania. Is that Duke the Dumpster?
Or just a dumpster?
Dumpster match?
So he thinks Roman Reigns is going to get taken out like the trash?
I'm usually right there with you, 6 rings. I mean, you're great. You're great. I don't understand this one. So anyway,
sorry.
At Kyle Leith, any answer that isn't The Rock is wrong. Have Roman go undefeated toward Mania. Set up Brock versus Roman. It would be the biggest match in the last decade. And that last part I agree with. Rock, Roman Reigns, WrestleMania, 100,000 people, Dallas. That is the biggest match of the decade. I would be hard to argue that.
Really? You don't think that people would just feel that that's a little played out and that neither name is really that exciting anymore? That's how I would feel about it. Although any kind, I'm happy to have Mania back at AT&T Stadium because I was there for the record-breaking one, and that is an awesome venue to take in some pro wrestling.
It is. It's very imposing. The The Rock, sure, okay, maybe granularly inside, like you can kind of as a hardcore look at it and say, here's where I poke the holes in it. But The Rock hasn't wrestled a match in years, right? At this point, he is a bigger name. He gets bigger year by year. The casual of casual fans knows Dwayne The Rock Johnson. They are maybe kind of familiar with what Roman Reigns is doing right now, but if Rock can bring people in to see what Roman is doing right now and they can tell that story, I see this as I don't see this as played out. I see this as very fresh.
Oh my God. I thought you said Brock. That's why I was confused.
No,
you said Rock.
I said
Wow.
Rock. Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'm totally on board and disregard what I said before because it probably sounded silly.
I have to enunciate. Okay. Then great last write in here from at Why You Stupid, Becky Lynch, right? Who's gonna be huge when she comes back.
Yes, how could we forget about Becky? Oh, but I kind of love that we did because I feel like she can have a lot of fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
You forgot I existed? Let me remind you.
Then we have Antonio Garcia here. We'll start with him because I told him I was going to come back to him. I think the next time Cena loses is the last time we see Cena wrestle, so why not save that for Mania? I could see Cena do a title run between SummerSlam and Mania where I guess Roman takes it back, or I don't see Cena beating Roman. It just doesn't see Roman he needs as great as his run has been, he needs a big marquee win, in my opinion.
But do you think they want to squeeze out that one last title win for Cena to make the record before he's done, if he is, as Antonio speculates, pretty soon done in the ring forever?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think they do. I think they want to give him the record.
Ric Flair kind of seems like iffy on Cena. Like it seems like he wants either Randy or Charlotte to be the one to break his record, in my opinion.
Of course he does. But is he how much pull does he have these days?
That's a great question. I don't know what amount Rick has, but with John Cena in that 17th, unless he's going to stick around for a little while, I just don't see John Cena sticking around for more than maybe 6 to 8 weeks tops for any given stretch,
Well, that's a good point. Now that I think about it, John Cena isn't like the least confident guy in the world. And I could see him being like, I'll just let Rick keep it. Doesn't that sound like something John Cena would say?
Sure. He doesn't care. He's got a big stack of money. Let's go dress up as like Marvel movie characters or whatever. So, a couple of people here agreed with you, by the way, about the Alundra Blaze one. Antonio Fair wants to see Blaze versus Flair. Berber wants to see Blaze versus Charlotte, or Michelle McCool versus Charlotte.
Oh, that's a good one.
Let's see here. And we have Noob. I would like to see a story between Asuka and Becky where Asuka let Becky down, but it turns out Asuka made Becky proud. Okay.
Oh, that's really deep, Noob. I like that.
Very deep. We'll put a pin in it there for today then on the Noob note, because it's a very positive note. Thank you all so much for tuning in this week. It's been great. We are going to be back Monday with part one of my interview with Barry Horowitz. And Barry Horowitz, obviously, legendary enhancement talent, right? Made everybody look great. This is a much more intense interview than I was expecting. And so we're going to bust it into 2 parts because we wound up going a little long. So we'll do part 1 on Monday. We may do part 2 on Tuesday. We aren't positive yet, but part 2 will run next week is the expectation. But come in on Monday. You're going to want to hear that one. Michael Weissman will be here as well. Of course, you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, sportwrestlinginc.com. We're on all your favorite social channels. And, of course, the Wrestling Inc. podcast is at night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, weekends after pay-per-views. Jump in, join the chat, do this thing all over again, but at night with different people. So that's what we do. What do you want to plug over here, Chrissy?
Well, everybody out there, you guys can hit me up anytime on social media at Christy Reports. And please check out my YouTube channel as well, Christy Reports. I just love to be here live with all of you and read your thoughts. And this is just so much fun. So let's keep it going all week. Follow me.
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
Chat, engage.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will talk to you on Monday. I'm at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it. Bye.